Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming for this artist Chitter Chatter as part of the gallery Children's Biennale Embracing Wonders with artists Delia and Milenko Prvacki. My name is Gray, and I'm the Senior Manager for Programs here at the gallery. And before we start, can I request for you guys to turn your mobile phones and your beeping devices to silent? We are recording today. This session will run until 4 p.m., maybe slightly longer, depending on the Q&A. And our format is also slightly different because the artists feel that we shouldn't go for a lecture and then a Q&A in the end. So they have graciously allowed us to interrupt if you have any questions halfway through. When you do want to ask questions, just put up your hand and we'll have our colleagues go around with the microphone so that your questions are recorded as well. It gives me great pleasure to be moderating the session today with Delia and Milenko because I have the privilege to also work with them in commissioning the work Big Hug for the Children's Biennale. And it has resulted in this multi-room, multi-sensory, multi-installation, gallery downstairs. And just a quick reaction, who has been to Big Hug already? Quite a few. Those who haven't, you're in for a treat. So maybe after this, go and explore Big Hug. So a very, very quick introduction. Delia and Milenko Prvacki are Singaporean husband and wife artists who migrated from former Yugoslavia and Romania in the early 90s. Since then, they've become really familiar faces in the art scene here in Singapore. Delia was born in Romania in 1950, and of course, she's known as a ceramicist and sculptor. She loves working with clay and ceramics because it says here it's flexible yet robust material. And from the visits that we've done to her studio, you can see a lot of it. It's very, very evident there. You also may have encountered some of her public sculptures in MRTs, building public parks. Most famous, of course, is the Dhoby Ghaut MRT station and also the Marina South Pier. And Milenko, of course, is born in former Yugoslavia, and he's a veteran artist and arts educator. He's taught at La Salle College of the Arts since 1994. His works are about communities that he has lived amongst and are displayed in numerous private and public collections. In 2012, Milenko was awarded Singapore's Cultural Medallion for Visual Arts. He is now the Senior Fellow at the Office of the President of La Salle College of the Arts, also the coordinator of Tropical Lab, which is an annual international art workshop for Masters of Arts students. Let's make very welcome Delia and Milenko Prvacki. So I've asked Delia and Milenko to give us a quick history rundown, and they've also very graciously prepared a PowerPoint slide based on various topics. So I'll hand it over to Milenko and Delia.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I want to mention that we are not going to talk about our practice at all, because this project is so big, and I think it was a very interesting process. And we will talk more about public art and all processes related to Big Hut project on Basement 1. So we will mention something about our practice, but related to public work and related to particular team that we did downstairs. Let's start, because you have first question, yeah?
Yeah, so I sort of sent my question over to both of them and asked them about their journeys as artists and how old were they when they started. So, over to you.
Yeah, I was 9 years old when I decided I will be artist, definitely. My neighbor was artist, and when I stepped in his studio first time, I was 9 years old, and everything over there was just clear for me. I want to be artist because of smell, because of mess around, because of beautiful images, because of dreaming situation that I was always involved in. So I decided to be artist, and my family was shocked because not only in Singapore, parents are not happy when kids want to do art. But in time was okay and supported me very well. So when I was 18, 19 years old, uh, uh, I decided to do art academy. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's my turn. So I was born in a different country. I was born in Romania. Milenko was born in former Yugoslavia, in a province which is autonomous, closer to the northern part, so closer to the Central Europe. It's a region of multicultural, multi-ethnic, and Milenko grew up in such an environment to be very tolerant and friendly and curious about everything, everywhere and everyone. So I'm born in the north part of Transylvania. Don't worry, there's no Dracula there. When I'm used when I say that, everybody asks me about Dracula. But we have beautiful mountains. That's why the myth and the legend of wolves and dangerous creatures in the night, because the landscape in the mountains is spectacular. Anyway, my town is a mining town, tradition in mining. As a child, my family, everybody was interested in art. My father was a poet, among other things, and published books. And my mother was doing painting and playing piano. And there were 5 children, and all of us we were immersed in art activities. So I don't know anything else. I never had interest as a child in sport. In school, I was a very good student, but no mathematics, no physics, other science. But yeah, art. So it was clear that I'm going to be an artist.
And how did your families react when you say you wanted to be
I
an artist?
discovered accident family of potters when I was 17. No, my mother was very supportive because she was adventurous and she liked, I used to go with my young brother and sister to that workshop. And my grandmother was very, very angry and she said, oh my God, you will never have nice hands and nails, which is true. Because she was doing, my grandmother, weaving, and was weaving everything in the house, what existed, carpet, clothes, bed linen, her own clothes, everything came from the linen and cotton, which she actually had in her own garden. So that was another kind of tradition, for craft. So I had this big passion for this kind of activity. So I liked clay because it was, as you say, flexible, versatile. I felt I can do everything. I can imitate everything through it. And it was also very, at that time, it was 67, 68, it was the movement in Europe, the student movement. I became rebellious. And doing ceramic, me, like a petite girl, always nicely dressed and nice, well behaved, and doing something so dirty was a form of being rebellious and opposing. Yeah. But actually, I felt that if I choose this, I will have a lot of freedom to do what I want, no censorship.
So, like,
I hate ceramic. Because for last 47 years, I carry very heavy stuff all the time, so I don't touch clay. I was. I wanted to say that I was okay. Sorry, I was. I finished my art college, and I was having very bad from class. I'm the only one who survived. He was a good artist, but very bad teacher. And I always say that there is no one who could destroy young, talented kids
in high school.
Than bad teachers,
Yeah.
even in primary, secondary. Yeah. Teachers are catastrophic for art.
Yeah.
So I survived him, and I decided to apply for art academy in third grade. And I was shocked that was more than 1,000 applications. Luckily, I was in between around 60 who did 1 week examination. And I wasn't selected. I was youngest almost there. But what happened is that next to me was 46 years old. And I was thinking, why so to do? But he says, no, I tried 15 times to get in. But I said, Milenko, you are not going to. So I decided to look at other institutions. So by coincidence, I was in a research part of library, and not many people is there. Another guy was reading something about art. We got connected. He told me he's studying in Bucharest. I didn't know Romanian. My language was Serbian, second language German. He says you can learn, no problem. So I went there. I passed exam, and I end up with a degree in master in art and life. So I always recommend my students in LaSalle, if you study, you master in Kenya, you get husband or wife, no problem.
Everywhere is
It's
the
a
same. I
package,
can
yeah.
see all my friends happen the same.
Can you, Delia, share a little bit about your education? Because you got a master's degree in ceramics as well.
But as I say, I was interested in many other things, also in art. I was writing poetry. I also published as a teenager. I was publishing my poetry, and I painting. I did piano. I was playing piano, and after I finished high school, I was working for a year in the music school as a co-repetitor, preparing for university in Bucharest. So it was a different time. So now when I look back, it's 50 years ago almost. When I finished my high school, it was in 1969. So it's just 50 years. But is the world different today? So what you ask me now, it's on a little nostalgic. Anyway, it was a very, very nice time. I think the best time of our life when we were students. No
Yeah,
worries.
the best time it's when you're a student, because you're not married, you don't have job, you don't care about anything, and this is the last time.
Well, it was a time when the censorship was very, 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 how to say, deep, and affected a lot of intellectual and people in art and creative in all field of areas of creativity. We were lucky that in Bucharest we had the Institute of Culture, Italian culture, the French Institute, like Alliance Française, and the American Culture Center. That's where we actually found the niche to get informed and know what is happening outside. On the other side, Milenko was living in Yugoslavia. He had a passport, he could travel. He would go in the summer to Florence, Rome, and then he used to make for me drawings because it was too expensive to make so many photographs, black and white. So he would do the drawings on a notebook, so I can see all these old ceramics in the museums. And the following year he went to Paris. In Louvre he did the same, so that was for me a kind of documentation. But I want to say, despite all this restriction, I was never depressed or I didn't feel unhappy. And I could not believe that that will end one day, that the system will collapse and I will be free one day to do whatever. But we were just immersed in what we decided to do.
I think it was a very interesting situation. It was the Ceausescu's time. Some of you, I'm
No,
sure you know.
majority don't know,
It was the worst political situation, and restrictions, and was only social realism allowed to be exhibited or performed. So, but in the same time, in each studio, amazing things. So that was very interesting after the war, Berlin Wall
Collapse,
and collapse. Suddenly, China was open. Suddenly, Eastern European art was everywhere. It's kind of now.
Yeah, because
you need to suffer in order to show art after that.
Yeah,
so, but was a lot of things happening in studios. So it was fascinating that everything happened inside and not out in public.
But now, just to answer about my formation, so I studied at the Institute of Fine Arts, which is two departments, the Fine Arts, where I was Milenko, and Decorative Applied Art, where I was with the Department of Ceramic. And my teacher was somebody who studied in China 6 years. And she's now 82 years. She lives in the States, and she writes almost every day. Still fluent in Chinese. For me, in a way, it is like I studied in China, because every day she would bring books about Celadon, blue and white blue and
White. Yeah.
and that was a time the terracotta soldier were excavated, and she went to all the sites. She was a diplomat, so she had access to all these new discoveries. So after she studied in China, her husband diplomat was posted in New York, and then she went to New York and studied the contemporary ceramic in US, which was at that time exploding really, and would bring all this extreme thing, the books, to our class every week.
So-
and that's influenced me actually a lot.
Yeah, so maybe I want to touch a little bit about, growing up with the shadow of this war and communism, and also just doing art, producing. As you mentioned that besides, looking at each other's work and looking at what's happening in Paris, but also traveling of sorts when Milenko was traveling and getting all these different materials from your teacher. Was there at any point where you felt that, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the form, this is the issues, or there at any point you said, no, I don't want to be, mixed up as an Eastern European artist?
The situation was very different in Romania than in Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was out of Warsaw Pact, with much more freedom, not only traveling, but even in culture, and so we have this problem. But living in communist socialist countries, I was very active, interested in politics, social issues. My art was quite creative and narrative in beginning. But then when we move, after 5 years, we move in Yugoslavia, and what opened the eyes even more. And secondly, I stopped doing narrative art because I got fed up. I realized that I'm not competitive with politicians because my audience is very small. So I realized that I affect my art with narratives that maybe I should do something else, and then that's the reason why I'm in painting. And I was also not competitive to media, video, film, new technologies, and I'm more interested in slow situation in art than speed. I'm more meditative, and I like to contemplate more than run.
Well, for me, it is like now I practice for so many years. I feel there is a continuity in what I do. The works I did starting from 1977. I had a child. Our daughter was born in 1976, and even then I already, do some works, but more actively in 1980. And since then, I never stopped, and I can see the work is actually repeating, coming back. All the major ideas are just coming back. And moving to Singapore also, it was a challenge. It was a challenge from the logistic point of view that we had to create a new studio. You see here, this is one of our babies. And so we have one daughter and many babies. But the studio is also our creation. And Singapore had a fantastic, I think, impact on our work.
Yeah, I was going to ask now that we've moved on to Singapore, and of course this is a picture of the studio.
It's not anymore like that, it's changed now.
Because you guys moved here, Milenko moved here first in 1991, and then Delia with Anna as a baby moved here a few years later.
Yeah.
Like, how was that period in your lives? Like, how was that affected, and how did that affect your art?
First of all, nothing was planned.
Planned.
I came for 2 months in short pants and with 4 bottles of schnapps.
No, for two only.
and just to help some friends from Germany who build up a museum before they found out someone who will replace me. Which luckily they couldn't find anyone. So they asked me to stay for 2 years, and I called Delia, and she said that situation in former Yugoslavia is not good. So let's see what is going to happen in 2 years. So she came in 2 months, 3 months,
Yeah, in January.
and Singapore was like absolutely culturally empty space. It was only
No.
National Museum and Singapore Symphony
Exaggerate.
Orchestra. Okay, Delia.
Yeah.
I tell you that was comparing what we have
Okay.
in
yeah.
Europe.
It
That
was very calm, very calm.
Yeah, it's still hot.
Yeah.
It's time I came in '91 when Giorgio for National Art Council, then start substation, and then start development, which is unbelievable. If you look at last 28 years,
30
what
years,
happened
yeah.
in Singapore.
Yeah.
So my students will always ask me, hey, why did you come from Europe? Everyone wants to go there, you came here. Europe, it's old lady. It's always a problem that whatever step you take, there is, we did 300 this, you're doing 500 years. You know that I came in Singapore, which was really empty for development, and even some restrictions. It was amazing to be part of that development. And I was in two kind of plans. One it's artistic, and another one it's in the education. It's a fantastic opportunity.
Maybe not empty, but it's still kind of like growing, right?
No,
it's
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 fantastic.
I'm
infancy.
artist. I can make mistakes.
Yeah.
So you have several slides that you wanted to
let's
show
go.
about
Let's
some of your
go,
work.
yeah.
The things that we want to show here is some public works that we did and work it's related to the big hug downstairs. So we did I never know the year.
Oh, okay. It started in 1998. We had the first meetings. The whole year we were negotiating with LTA. We had a wonderful art consultant, Sanchez. The team at LTA was really very, very enthusiastic.
It is in Dobby Go Station, basement 3.
It's basement, yeah. At that time, Dobby Go was the most largest, the most impressive stage. Even basement 3 was then like, oh my God, and platform, the train comes to the platform 5. So it was really quite adventurous. So we got this large space, and we were planning a really long time, and then in year 2000, it was the year 2000, we realized the work. Milenko had to do a lot of mistakes. Actually, so we worked together. It's important we explain this. We work together on this conceptual level. So we clarify the visual point of view, aesthetic and conceptual, what we want to do. And then we separate each one with own area, the execution. But we decided that we do ceramic wall, the wall in ceramic, because it's tactile and very friendly and very resistant. Even today, people are telling me, I was there and it looks so fresh. So how come it's so new? Well, it has to be for 1,000 years to look the same. So then...
So I did Mosaic, and they did this white and blue kind of ceramic inspired wall.
It's inspired by the ceramic, the artifacts which we found in the Asian Civilization Museum, because the station is very close to it. So that's some kind of evolution of blue and white to go in developing into Peranakan, where it's colorful. And this you can see today in my work. I have some attacks of colors, but it goes gradually. And what I did, I studied all the traditional ceramics Peranakan in Singapore, Chinese, and I developed the details, very small details on pieces, which I enlarged, and then I recomposed them. So Milenko used the same method for, he used the tiles, which I paint, blue and white, and you can see the color, what is colorful is done by me, and the stone is granite, and then he recomposed this in a really brilliant way, like a painting. Now, very important, you see there were 4 columns, and we said, oh, let's do rings around the columns, let's embrace the column. So that's why we're showing this, especially because of the embrace. Because we propose these rings as a point of recognition, you see, because children, when they're born and they get all this in India, especially the bangles, the bracelet is for good luck and recognition. Okay? So this, we say, okay, 4 columns, each one will have another kind of ring, another color, another. It's very interesting, after 20 years is the first time we talk about our project public.
It was an interesting project. I now chair the in transit project for all stations, and now they only print. That was the only line that art could execute, and we did it for 1 year in a factory. And started with ceramic wall and mosaic, and then we edited rings, and then we edited floor. So it was very open to anything related to space and how do we
Well,
integrate
because it's a very heavy traffic flow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one of the most recognizable MRT station, at least for non-Singaporeans, people who come and then they look at this, not just the scale of the station, like the basement and all that, but also immediately recognizable that blue
because
wall.
it's a material, it's executed, it's not printed. And for example, all mosaics are done from ceramic, stone, marble, floor. And floor was done by granite, because we couldn't use even marble because of traffic.
Right.
So that was. We are showing this mostly because of columns and ceramic. Another project we did together and we didn't divorce, it's Esplanade project. This was a few years ago. So this project was kind of a compilation of my idea of construction site and the dictionary, so that we can mix up everything what we are doing. So it was a huge project with reflection in artificial mirror on top. Which,
but I would like to add to what Milenko said, that for us it's very important, it's a site-specific project. So we reacted to the concourse area at the Esplanade, where we were invited to make a project. I'm sure all of you saw the stairs there, and always there's an exhibition.
For context, this image here is the foyer, the concourse foyer of the Esplanade Theatre, where you would usually have some sculptures and visual arts on rotation.
Yeah.
This was how many years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
2016. So why I think it's important to mention this, because when we started to work on this, talk about Big Hug, the project we did for Children Biennale, we started in the same way. We started from the location, from the,
Can I get a sense that this is the what work that you guys are working together? Second, third time? The second time. Yeah.
In such a big project. Otherwise, we always together in studio. She produced, I carry.
Well, you have to get used to his humor.
And then Delia did this in East Coast.
This is done in 2006. So after we finished Dobby God Station, I was really very inspired by the mosaic. So I went to Milenko this, my discover love for mosaic. Because I used to make the tiles, which she then incorporated, but I say, I make my tiles and I do what I want. And this is, it was for an exhibition at National Park in 3 locations. And this was, it's still at East Coast. I donated after years, I donated these columns and the plate, the beach, and we have many pictures where people were hugging the columns and send us pictures, but we could not find them last night.
There's
when
a boy
yeah.
in green.
Yeah. So, that's also the starting point for this hug me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the. And then another work which everybody knows me for this piece of sky. I started in 1997, the first piece of sky after a trip in Australia, and this 2,000 stars were done for the millennium. So this is a very large sculpture, which is now with National University, waiting for a right location to be installed permanently. So this idea of stars spread on the blue, on the sky, it's something what was developed for many years. And on the right side, you have the tapestry. So I like to transfer one theme from one medium to another medium. So I was interested how it will look in full. So here, this of sky was later incorporated in Big Hug. Okay.
So we're going to move on to the next section already, where Milenko and Delia is going to talk more about the installation downstairs. But before we do, I was just looking around to see if you have any questions now that they've sort of taken us through a journey of their lives, and also a little bit more about what are the things or the artwork that they've done so far that have inspired Big Hug. So we get a sense of where their entry points are coming from as artists. So just a sense in the room, if there's any questions so far. If not, before we go into Big Hug, because I know that this is something that is reflected especially on Milenko, it's about educators, and both of you also mentioned your teachers.
Yeah.
So my simple question is that, did your teachers also inspire you to be teachers?
Yes. I sometimes you learn from mistakes or for bad things, like I did in my college time. I was having very bad teacher. Luckily, in my master program, I was having the best artist living at Romania, and who never ever exhibited in Romania as long Ceausescu was in power.
But
he was really
China.
known in Asia, China,
Yeah.
Taiwan, and at the moment he has a big retrospective show traveling through China, biggest one. So most probably we will go to see one of these cities. His name is Corneliu Baba. And it was very good because I remember when he invited me to help him or catch cameras, I was happiest man, you know. That's how we learned how to organize a studio.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Yes, maybe I was teaching for a while, part-time at La Salle, but I think I'm not very good teacher. I'm maternal. I'm not so strict. I'm too flexible. No, anyway, I take it as a joy, as a play, form of
Delia is very
communication.
good education. Just was I became dean and then should have because it's conflict.
No, it has a lot of with the topic that we're going into, Big Hug, because in the process of talking and discussing and commissioning the work with Milenko and Delia, a lot of the discussions that we had are about teaching, about cultivating.
About learning.
Yeah, it's about learning.
Because the first part that we show, it's a kind of proof and presentation that it's related to how sense of space and how to deal with space, how to integrate art in space without to damage environment, interior or exterior, and how to understand space. That's what we wanted to do with in Big Hug. We wanted to just not only please kids to jump and spend energy, but in the same time to learn something about art, to learn something about life, to to learn about basic things that we are talking here about. It's about cosmos, embrace earth, embrace cities, villages. That's why we call that big village Big Hug. The houses and our life, our family, finally in the room ourselves.
Yeah.
So that was kind of structure of our story. Definitely education like teaching, but they are
Not
learning
formally, yeah.
through a play, which is
Yeah.
not just physical, but very sophisticated kind of play.
Yeah.
And finally, we wanted also adults to enjoy and understand. So it's not so
Well,
so low kind of only for kids, but
I can
for
say
the
we
adult.
actually had the adults first in mind.
Yeah.
Because if they can understand, then children will also understand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we wanted to make something what will be complex as an art project, and because the old idea what we used, the idea of what is embrace in the sense physical or real gesture, and then as a metaphor, as a meaning, as a symbol, sometimes a small child cannot understand, and we are aware that will be an issue. So you make all the first, this is the first sketch we did July last year, with the first ideas. We just, so you can see the awards in Romania and Serbia, some in English, and English maybe not properly spelling. But anyway, we started to make this like archive, collect archive of ideas. And we had really an attack of inspiration, an avalanche of ideas. That's true. But now how we will make this to be suitable for children, that children can enjoy and learn from it and memorable for them. You asked me about, I remember every single important performance or exhibition I saw when I was a child. To me, going to a museum was like fantastic, experience. So this is something what we want the children to remember, but we wanted adults to enjoy and get maybe a bit nostalgic, maybe open their mind or their eyes. Yeah.
And that was a story of millions of ideas and things because we got bigger space in the National Gallery, but we did even 10 times more than we needed. So it was a kind of process to reduce from maybe city to the village.
To a
so
village, yeah.
that's how we came with this idea that we'll do a big hug village. And in beginning, you will see that when, some ideas that we couldn't include anymore. Some things that I want to show. It's how we started. This was the first project, and
Yeah.
supposed to be
You can see
seven rooms plus open spaces. We end up with 4 only.
yeah, but the
So-
columns are behind, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was different setting, but the all process was to reduce and was reducing to the
Well, I have to
reducing to
say-
the maximum.
Also, when we confirm and consolidate the concept and how we want to do and which are the activities which will be very important for children to participate in, then it was the moment when we actually start to work more actively with you and with the designer, with Jem Follen. And that's when the whole actually exhibition installation started to be articulated. But what we are showing you now,
Yeah, this is, for example, 2 rooms that we just do it.
they are not
Yeah.
now, yeah, because we wanted to have a room. The purple one was supposed to be a room for music. And the music, we wanted to do some huge soft instrument.
Because there are instruments that you, in order to produce sound,
You have to have.
you have to embrace them.
So we were thinking, you have the cello, you have a harp, hug the harp makes sound. Of course, you need to use your fingers. But the idea of embracing the instrument.
But if we end up only with some drawings.
It was too difficult, too complex, but maybe another time we will realize.
And this is, for example, when in working with architects about space, and this is only one of sketches, but there's hundreds of sketches. It's how we came to find out.
I wanted to take a pause here because in the process of working with you guys, besides looking at spatial arrangements of the gallery and also thinking about the kind of activities in there, we're also really conscious about how, maybe from Milenko's point of view, how he approached what you guys were saying, that the avalanche of ideas, and then you have to kind of like, you know, give it down to just a few. We have 32 in the end, right? But that whole kind of brainstorming was very much your visual dictionary practice, wasn't it?
Yes, because we didn't have one narrative story. It's produced with very different kind of, and you go downstairs, you will see different narratives, different objects, different materials. We did insist on materiality of everything, but we wanted kids to learn something more than computer and mobile, you know, to touch some things that they are not usually touched. And that was the kind of idea that each room, everything will have different materials. And this is based on my idea of dictionary, visual dictionary, because when I was, I learned German as a second language, then I didn't have choice, but I learned Romanian. When I came in Singapore, I didn't speak English, so I have again to learn new language, and dictionary was my best friend, you know. So I realized that dictionary is amazing book, but has no story, no narrative, and everything stands them perfectly. So I wanted to create, and I'm doing kind of art that it's that I can put and use any method. But of course you need the sense of aesthetic and good feeling to put these things.
And
look natural.
And also materiality, because you know your tradition of really hands-on and working with the
Milenko
materials.
Pointed out that we wanted each room represent another kind of embrace. So the first room is the blue room, where it comes the piece of sky, my obsession with celestial territories. And then that's why we put the telescope on this was the first idea of a terrace, like
sketch,
a kampung. So Milenko did all this in photo. So then this was like, okay, exploring the space, the sky, nature, the green, first like the green, a kampung house is green. Then we have the purple room, which is now self, because we interpret the embrace. Embrace is embracing the. Can you go to this previous, the previous one with the 4 rooms, colorful? Okay, now stop here. Okay, so the first room is the blue room, discover the world, and the green one is again nature, and the place where children go to play and adults go in nature to enjoy the nature. And then you have the family room, is the orange room, where it's a family embracing the tradition and the family values. And then we have the purple room, which is the self room. So finally you embrace yourself. After all so many hugs, then finally you hug yourself, embrace yourself, and discover yourself. Who are you? So that's where the main stories. There's no story, it's a whole.
There's no narrative, but there are.
There are characters. And then they are surrounded by the walls, and all activities on the wall become again part of this. So in this, as discovering yourself is that you discover your passion, your talent, your call. You have interest in certain thing, and we have on a wall the career fair. Then those figurines, which are animals, and this on the green room.
I think you're going backward, Milenko.
Yeah.
Go forward.
You go.
Oh, yeah. And
Okay. Yeah, stop here. Now you will see all this visual you will see on the walls.
showing some things that then you are not going to see downstairs, but that's all references that we use for this project.
Yeah, that's the documentation process.
But let's go maybe better to...
Then yeah.
This
so
is a view for original gallery space. Yeah.
So we wanted to have a balanced situation where children really can come in and participate, be active, take the chakra, do on black. Here they have to hug the pillar. Then on the floor they have to build magnet. Each pillar is different material. It's starting from that intention to as much as possible to give example of possible materials to build a house.
And feeling, you have different feeling when you embrace wood, terracotta, metal, or stainless steel.
Okay, the first one with the child is actually a soft, and you don't know it's a soft until you embrace it. When you embrace, you see it's a soft pillar, which is quite interesting thing. And here, the idea of piggy bank. Piggy bank is very important for children to learn saving money. We have few piggy banks in the exhibition, and this is one huge piggy bank where a visitor can participate and choose a charity to embrace. It's called Embrace a Cause. Yeah. So it's like a globe made from a lot of hands, children hands. So it's a globe where you don't have continents and water, oceans, but you have the of children. Okay, so this is a wall about weaving. It's starting from the hair. The hair was like one example of, the hair is embracing our head. Then the hair itself could be embraced when you make a braid. And then the idea of weaving.
At the same time, there are different colors, and they learn what are complementary colors, what the same chromatic composition. And that's every village, every city, only in Singapore or Asia. In Europe, it's the same, especially in Romania. There is a welcome gate, not only in the city, but the home. In house, you have welcome gate, and this is very original, always made by hand. And we try to combine all kind of traditional ceramic plates from region, from Singapore.
From all groups, ethnic groups,
and
traditional
on
art.
bottom, there are real porcelain done by Delia.
You will see there's three sides, the real tiles of ceramic, where I did just very free interpretation of tradition.
As we talk again about this telescope and kaleidoscope.
Do we have an image where you go under? You have to crawl down? Okay.
So the one, it's a telescope with a Milky Way, and we have a kaleidoscope. Which,
very colorful.
It's a real one, only big. I don't know, Jazz did it. I don't know how it's done, but it was always magic for me when I was a kid. Look at kaleidoscope and how these colors change. Then downstairs, you have to look down in order to see sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can experience this later downstairs, but this picture just shows Delia and I lying down on the floor, looking up, because the ceiling on the bottom half is actually perforated with holes, and they actually reflect the locations of the stars when you see it from Singapore. So there's 4 constellations, if you can recognize them. So also it's their idea of actually wanting to reflect the stars.
Yeah, we explored the idea to incorporate this tapestry, which is very tactile and beautiful, have a warm, just like a night. But there was a problem how to present it, for the safety. So then it came out all together. Our group working on this project, we're exploring with the architect and how and Jesslyn is here. How we will the best translate this idea into.
And then it's a magnet wall where we created the particular number of shapes that they have to put together in order to create form. So circle, it's made from two parts,
yeah.
circle, and all kind of shapes and figures. And to my surprise, I realized we did how many jazz? 20? 20 shapes, yeah? 12. But they start to produce new one. I didn't plan. So it's really, really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of shows you that you can't really limit the creativity
no,
of kids.
it's
Yeah.
very.
Yeah, and then it's a huge drawing wall that, again, they really can enjoy and draw and without censorship.
No, this is important.
This is a
It's a
kind of traditional. When we didn't have all these kind of gadgets and contemporary toys. So was everything done by my grandfather who was carpenter and destroyed my father who always wanted to check up how that mechanism is working.
yeah.
And then this is the room that we produce all kind of learning, fine art, learning.
Yeah, I want to say something that because from the beginning, and I have more to say from earlier, but the idea of color spectrum, we wanted to say the colors, all the colors together are embraced in color spectrum. And when yellow, red,
When you rotate
yeah,
that wheel,
embracing, they produce orange.
It's like color theory, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the color wheel. Nobody? Don't know? Downstairs.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
continue.
okay.
Yeah.
This is my favorite piece in Big Park. It's the table, right? It's a dinner table, and also it reflects on the wall a sort of like timetable.
Yeah. So this big drawing, it's a big scale. I did few years ago for our granddaughter. They're always talking about they have to do daytime, what they have to do nighttime. So slowly I got this idea to do round, light, bigger size of ring. It's a day activities, and the darker, smaller in the middle, it's night activities. So it's difficult to see here, but downstairs it's huge, so you can. And then there came the idea of Easy Susie to do in Mosaic.
Lazy Susan table. Well, because it's about family. It was somehow what kind of object in a family room are evocative and what can create, what can become an object in an exhibition. And because we wanted to do pieces to be tactile, people can touch them because we know everything what is digital they cannot touch. So we didn't want to have an installation where children just come and look only and then they don't know what to do. So I think this was a good idea because it's a really
We
exciting.
are running short on time, so we're going to
Okay.
cycle
Just
through, I think, the last
it's
few.
I like idea, but we couldn't do in 4 sides. But in the beginning, it's supposed to be 4 windows, 4 seasons. So in one room, we have 4 seasons and light boxes. So what is interesting is that these photographs are done by a friend of mine, artist from our studio in Serbia. So the
we had
same river, same house, club, same, but different seasons.
Yeah, our studio before we came here was at the 13th floor, so that's why it's this.
And this is again about ceramic fix and kids could touch.
Yeah, but also it was about material because we wanted to also convey this idea of sculpture, what is volume, what is relief, what is flat. So this is a relief piece where they can touch it. It looks very realistic, but when they touch, they see it's cold. It's not a real egg, or not a toast. But can you go back? We want to repeat 2 ideas here, like 2 slices of bread together, rice make toast, sandwich.
Yeah.
Then the egg is repeated. egg comes back.
I also wanted
pyramid.
to say some of the most endearing reaction that I've seen with this table is that kids going to the table and they pretend to eat.
Really?
But they really touch, you know, like the egg and then the sandwich, and they're just like yam 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 yam. It's really really endearing. So you have that kind of effect on visitors.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I never did this before, but just follow the idea.
And it's a kind of artificial wall made different materials. Each of these materials, it's different, tactile. And then it's a slow moving animation, which is kind of history of dragon characters, but you have to rotate them to see. It's a self room where it's you can identify with different professions. You can
Look at yourself.
look at yourself on opposite wall, and you can measure your high, or
This is what you see in the reflecting wall.
this is
Wall.
our culture minister who enjoyed there very much. And then it's a career fair that
It's a
suggests to kids what they
Yeah.
want to do.
because it's a village, it's a fictive everything. Yeah.
And this is a poster for because in the beginning they tried to break everything. Now they know that they're not allowed.
And just only to repeat, we didn't have here the little museum.
Ah
Little
yes,
museum
yes,
is
yes, yes.
important. We have a wall where it's called Big Hug Little Museum. I think you jump
Yeah.
over, but we will see down.
No,
Yeah.
And
I
we are
sure,
very
but-
grateful because we got from a few friends and colleagues contribution and some of my own objects from home. This is the little museum where the collection is very interesting because we didn't know what you will receive. We gave a direction. We want objects that were important for your development. They reflect the tradition value, family values. Also, it see you how you look at yourself. So we have hair. The hair is there. They gave me hair which was donated for a charity. So that's how things actually it came that they are connected. We have instrument. We have typewriter. We have a ballet tutu, and they all talk about talent and passion to do something in life.
Thank you. I mean, we rushed through everything. I mean, I mentioned earlier that there are 32 different books within Hug itself. So when I was writing the sort of synopsis and also what visitors can interact with, the page for Big Hug was the longest because 32 objects, 32 installations, 32 different ways to interact with or not interact with it. Whereas other installations within the Gallery Children's Biennale is like one, you cannot walk on it, but theirs is 32. I'd like to just invite you guys to give Delia and Milenko a round of applause for yeah, it's fantastic. But also just opportunities now, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of them about work, about their life, about working together, please feel free now, and my colleagues will be going around with a microphone. Any pressing questions that you'd like to ask? Yeah, in front here.
Hi, thank you for sharing. My name is Jessie. I'm here actually with my colleagues and friends, really. And we're from Art Wonderland, which is an art studio. And we also, okay, so it's very exciting to be able to hear this from you because we're also ourselves kind of art educators, but we're going in a direction where we are trying to bring out the artist side in this as well. So we call ourselves like artist educators, where we create a space for children, an art immersive space where children can go in and learn, which is why I relate very well to what you said, Milenko. So it's very nice. So I actually wanted to ask a few questions, like for your space-wise, how do you design a space? Because you're presented with an empty room, then how do you design a space space that you balance out concept plus your direction, and then when the children walk in and they just lead the activities themselves. They don't need an adult there. So how do you create such a space that balances out everything? And for example, your dining room, did you expect that the children would read that way with your, things that you created?
Uh, the reason why we show Dolby Go and some public spaces that this idea we always have in mind that we have to integrate in particular space. You can't damage it. You have to contribute to space, integrate. So the first place that we got was very small and was kind of crossroad, and we started thinking, and then they give us this huge space, and we have to rethink everything. Always depend start in space. That's how we got idea of village or big hug. This is number one. Second, it's amazing opportunity to work for kids, because for 7, 8 months I really feel like kids. You are free to dream. You are not allowed, or you're not doing anymore when you're 67, 68. So that's the fantastic for us, that we really behave like kids, nothing else. It's more sophisticated, and you have to think about all the element of enjoying, playing, and learning at the same time. But we're always coming with different ideas. For the family room, it's Delia's idea generally.
Playroom.
Yeah, so we mix ideas, we fight a bit, we argue a bit.
We did that.
Okay.
We did that.
So, but this is normal. So it's always better when you collaborate because you are more critical. I always say when I'm alone with my painting, every evening I'm genius when I leave studio. And then morning, oh my God, what I did last night. So, but when you work with someone, then that exchange of ideas and opinions and cleaning up, like New Year cleaning, it's much easier to do it.
I can answer to you. I think it comes also from experience, because now you know my age. So we moved house. I moved country, 3 countries. Moved so many houses. So you have to relate to the space. So you have to make your space to be functional and comfortable. So that's kind of experience. Probably I have this talent anyway. But when I do an exhibition, actually, when we finished this, I didn't tell you, Gray. When we finished and we saw the installation, I said, oh my God, this looks like all our previous exhibitions. We saw our exhibition in 2014 at Lux Gallery. It's almost the same. It's just place the object and you will see the same kind of aesthetic, the same kind of distribution, a certain logic. So there's a logic. There is just we talk about the ideas, the family values, all this, what we want to say, then they became rooms. We wanted to make a little village. It's a fictive. It's a village which is called Bikag. So it's all one idea lead to another. So it's very logical development. And it was logical what will be on the wall. Because from the first meeting, second, and he is right, Milenko, we were fighting about that, because I say, but I really want Milenko to do the illustration and drawings. He says, no, I'm not going to do illustration, remember?
Yes.
No, because I knew, because he was working before in theater, before coming to Singapore, he was doing scenography stage, children theater, and did many times posters for theater, for children, for movies, and illustrated few books for children. So I knew that because knowing his talent and his fantastic drawings, I knew this will be than mine. So to be explored. And we need halls. So we don't make it look like an exhibition, like a museum. We want to be alive. So that's things naturally arranged.
I also extend a bit of the question. You're thinking about conceptualizing the work in the physical manifestation of it, the table, the puppets. How you thinking that it should be intuitive for children? Do you always need like instructions? What was your thinking process?
I think we didn't do any instructions because I think that uh, it's the poetry to see what they're doing. If you give them instructions, you have to fix this to become silker, and they do some crazy things, you know. We are stopping them to dream, and we allow them to imagine in their own way. And I realized because I'm doing abstract painting, that the kids, you cheat them. They understand very well, sometimes better than adults. Because they don't have restrictions. Yeah. They are fully engaged in it, you know, and that's the beauty. So we not only that there are no instructions, but some things you can't even anticipate how they will act, how they will engage. This is the beauty of art. You know.
Any other questions? Oh, front to back.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Always like the Dolby God work that is done by both of you. And for this, I think the new work that you have done is called the Heart, which is for the children Biennale. And as Stella has mentioned earlier, this is something you have never done before. Okay. So, yes, the end user is mainly children. So when you're doing this project, so how do both of you actually adapt and adjust yourself to this work in terms of the resolution? Like for example, the kind of material you use, the colors, the texture, and so on, which is actually very different from your usual work in Mosaic and oil painting and the other materials.
That's a very, very good question. It's all about negotiation. It's negotiation. We are coming from, and we are different, like different characters, and we're coming with this. We are creating this kind of storage of a lot of references, images, ideas. They are somehow everything is related to what we want to do, but then it's too much. So we have to be selective, and this again we have to negotiate. I give up, she gives up, we negotiate with it, we combine, maybe we compile them. So it's all about working process. And then same about material decisions, but everything came quite smooth.
Yeah.
I think it's smooth because
No,
we know how to negotiate.
Yeah, I want to.
That's why we are
say
47 years in marriage.
No, but I think you came a little bit late, and we said this from the beginning. We made this project for children, but we really wanted to be really made following the same rational and logic like we make a work for adults. So we didn't just let something simple. Then the criteria was that children can do to be safe, so material has to be durable. So we didn't take any risk to create objects and installation which are problematic. So from there is one idea, it's like the pillars, the columns, 4 columns, 4 materials. So, but it's not, how to say, it's not very aggressive. It's as a subtle idea. You take, okay, they will remember for sure the soft, because they never experienced this before. So then inside all the materials, what is decided? Of course, the illustration, the print, Milenko did drawings, what you will see on the walls and around, and the collage for the big entrance. We did a mention with lions, Leslie helped us to cut with laser and install them to look really like a lion, but not to be really too fierce. So we went, how to say, once the idea was confirmed, once we discussed with the architect how is the best to solve from the point of view of logistic, then we executed. And then when it comes to execution, it's again very logic. What material has to be? So, because we wanted to cover, we wanted to give as much as possible information. We wanted children to go with a lot of inspiration. So they know now about textile, the fiber, the braid, they're soft, they know about the pieces magnet, which is actually one shape cut in two pieces together, make one shape. When you divide them, you have to find them and put them back together or make other figures. So they will remember that.
I
So-
want to just say something that you compare Dolby Go. For example, Dolby Go, we have to do with space and interior and architecture. And that is not museum to take painting and hang up. That's the easiest way, and I get good money for my painting. But it's about integrating. In this project, we didn't have a challenge on space, but with kids. Because, you have to do for particular age, and they are demanding, and National Gallery is demanding. You can't do this. So sometimes
Safety.
when you stay in studio and do whatever you want, like, oh, this is pleasure. But sometimes I like this challenge. We like this challenge usually to respond to some restrictions. It's about a different way to activate your imagination, to activate your mind, to activate your experience, because experience has a lot to do with it. I did a lot of stage design. It was easier for me to know how to manipulate the space. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we've run out of time. I'd just like to just have a final say from both of you. What you want kids to get out from Big Hug?
But that's what I'm saying. I want them to enjoy. I want them to learn and to leave this space happy. I'm happy and sorry in the same time looking at them that they have to queue to get in.
Yes.
But I'm happy that they are very happy when they step in. This way. We in Serbia we joke about shoes. We always take smaller shoes than our feet, because when we take off shoes we feel so good.
And Delia?
Well, as I say, I hope it will remain in their memory. It's something memorable.
Yeah.
That's all.
So that when they grow up, they can still remember
Yeah,
the experience of Big Hug
yeah,
and come into a
they will,
gallery. And
They go somewhere, they will see something, like a patient, or they go in the MRT station and you say, that's the artist. So
yeah.
I think this is what is the most important, not to be, just something for instant
gratification.
Entertainment. It's not entertainment.
Well, thank you very much, Delia and Milenko. Can we please thank them? It's been a great pleasure.
And thank you to you, because you helped us a lot.
I really
over
want
the
to
process.
thank National Gallery,
Yeah.
Gray and his team, and especially Jazz, who help us to produce most of difficult
It's not-
objects. Yeah.
yeah.
Just a quick reminder that the gallery opens till 7 p.m. today, so you can experience Big Hug. We will. Okay, let me get the sentence right. The Big Hug installation will close on September 15, so it's slightly shorter than the rest of the Biennale. Biennale runs until December. So the concourse galleries where Big Hug is will close 15 September, so you still have time. And the last thing is that we have Milenko's monograph for sale as well. Our colleagues at the Gallery & Co. And if you want to buy Milenko's book, you can get him to sign today, because Delia and Milenko is leaving for Berlin for 2 months tomorrow. So this is your not last chance, since he's here and Delia is here. So,
And if anyone wants to go down now, we will be very happy to guide you.
thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.